one of the special persons in the house, actually is part of the whole community, the starting of this community that sprung up the financial modeling arm of the community. So there is just so little I can say that will be new to people who have known him or who have been part of us for long. But I know there are people joining us today who do not yet know him, as many of us already know him. So I will do an introduction to make sure that nobody is at loss to who we have today. His name is Charles Otoghile. He's the head of I5 Data Systems Limited, and he's a veteran in this space. When it comes to Microsoft Excel, he's also a lover of Access. It's just unfortunate that Access is not as popular as it used to be then, but he's done a lot of awesome things with Access. He's also into Power BI and general spreadsheet modeling. He doesn't like it when people try to corner modeling to just financial modeling. So that's why even in some of the messages I pushed out there, I let people understand that spreadsheet modeling, so if you use Excel to do all kinds of plans and trying to model some kind of input processes and output, you're going to benefit a lot from a special session with us today. I have posted in the chat box the link to his profile where you can see how you can connect to him on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and all the other avenues he has made possible for us to reach out to him. He runs trainings, he runs consulting. So, from today's session, if you start to uncover things that you will need to reach out to him at, I'm going to repost it in the chat box again, but then you can freely reach out to him. So I'm going to just immediately hand over to him, since it's going to be a very value-packed session. I don't want to spend too much time on introduction. So Mr. Charles, thank you very much for obliging us again today. The stage is yours. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and then I'll also turn off my video. I'll be monitoring in the chat box for anything and making sure there are no background noise. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for the introduction. And I'm so honored by everybody here wanting to come and listen to me and what I have to share today. We wouldn't do much on introduction. Let's just go straight to what we came here for. And what we actually came here for is for formula audits in Microsoft Excel. So what I'm going to do, I would like to share my screen so that we can work with the things I have to show. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So I don't know if Michael will help me out here. I have a PowerPoint document I'm trying to share, and okay, I think I get it. I should share my desktop in that case. Okay, all right. So let me share my desktop. I don't know if everybody is seeing what is on my desktop.
Yes, visible.
Okay, fine. So here we are. Here we are on what we have to discuss today, and it's formula auditing in Microsoft Excel. This is a big topic all over the world. In fact, for some persons, they feel that this is one reason why Microsoft Excel should not be an application used by people. But we're going to find out what we can do to limit the errors that come into Microsoft Excel. Okay, so many a times, including some of us who are participating in this session, we may have submitted a spreadsheet to our boss or to somebody. Sometimes it could be to an external body, and only for us to find out at a particular time that what we had sent out has got errors. It could be fortunate if maybe our errors did not shortchange us, especially for situations where we have to do with values. But sometimes it could be the other way around. Let me just take you through a site I was in. Here is actually the site. It talks about 12 of the biggest spreadsheet fails in history. We're not going to take the 12, we're just going to take some of them and see what really happened. So if we look at the first one here, it's TransAlta. It says that a cut and paste error in a spreadsheet cost the company $24 million. The mistake caused the Canadian power generator to buy more US power transmission hedges contract at much higher prices than it should have. You see, just cut and paste. Now, this could be because they have not, the spreadsheet could be from just somebody else. And then what happened is that because it was not well audited, the person felt that, oh, I can just copy this and paste it somewhere here. And if you have been through my videos and classes on absolute, relative and absolute referencing, you will come to understand how this error can come about. So the original person that may have done those formulas did not do his absolute or relative referencing as it should be. And that's why we had this error coming up, okay? Look at another one, because you might say that there are some organizations that do their checks very well. Here you see MI15. They are like CIA in the UK. So you say even spies can make mistakes. In 2010, the British intelligence agency bugged more than 1,000 wrong phones. A formatting error on the spreadsheet caused the agony to apply for data on all telephone numbers ending in 000 instead of the actual last 3 digits. You see that? So, well, they wanted to spy, but they ended up spying the wrong people at the end of the day. This one comes from Harvard, and I wouldn't read it. I would just show you what happened. Actually, the intention was to, get the average of these numbers, but you can see that by the time the formula was checked, it was not picking everything. It was not picking everything, and then the error was wrong. So their minimum, their maximum, their average, or whatsoever was actually wrong. And it was the celebrated Harvard Business Review article, paper rather, that brought about this. So I've shared a link to this. I've shared a link to this web page. Michael can share it amongst all of you. You could go through and read the different mistakes. I can tell you that by the time you go through each and every one of these mistakes, you will be better informed of what kind of mistakes can crawl up into your spreadsheet and how you can handle it, okay? All right. So at this point, let me go back to our PowerPoint and see what things we can do when we are editing spreadsheets. I want to believe, I don't know if Michael was able to share that.
Yes.
Oh, that's
I
fine.
done it before you said, then I did it again when you.
Okay, so that's fine, so that everybody can have can get it. So actually today we are going to be looking at what things we can do to improve our formula auditing in Microsoft Excel. The first thing I expect you to do, because sometimes, I don't know if you have noticed, there are times that you go into a spreadsheet. Let me show you an example of what I'm saying here. So I just want to do this one here. Okay, that's because it's dark. I want you to see what happens. I'm going to just enter a value here. I'm going to enter a value here. First, I'm going to put an apostrophe and put the number 10. Now, if you look here, you would see that there is a green alert here. It's actually an error alert. Not many people like it in their spreadsheets. For some persons, you can just right-click on this and then tell it to ignore. So you click on this one here, and then you can tell it to ignore. If you tell it to ignore, yes, it would ignore it. But this thing is coming up because it is telling you that a number has been stored as text. Actually, do you want to do this? Now, the problem is that even if I should have a number here and try to sum these two, you see, it would not give me what I want. So you can see that it definitely will not give me what I want. Sorry. So what I'm trying to do is just this and this. Okay, fine. It's not going to give me what I want. And sometimes you may have erroneously justified this way like this. And so chances are that you might think, oh, this is all fine and this is all good here. No, it's not all good, because if you look at the formula tends to be doing the right thing, but an error is there. So one of the things you want to do is ensure that that error check is taking place in your spreadsheet. It's better you check it and then tell it to ignore the error than just come and switch off that error alert. So where do we manage that error alert? You come to your files, you go to your options. So when you come to your options, you check for formula. So these things, everything you see here are things that control your formulas, you know. So there is this error checking here that you should enable. If you do not enable it, you wouldn't see all those green checks. And if there is likely an error, you may not find it. Like that one that we saw for that Harvard, it's likely what caused it. Because if you have this error check on, that point that shows, if you click on the formula that gets the average, it will bring out these green error alerts. Of course, you can change it here. You can change it to any color that you want. But the green error alert helps you to notice that, and you want to check again if it is correct. So if you are using Excel, you want to go to your options, your formula options, and tick this to enable it to run. Then again, your error checking is going to identify anything that you have ticked here as what you are going to be checking for. Like the first one says, cells containing formulas that result in an error. Here again says inconsistent calculation column formulas in tables. If this one is ticked or checked, you certainly will be able to find those errors that those Harvard guys were not able to get. Cells containing year represented as 2 digits. So sometimes you might have a point that where it ought to be a year and it's just 2 digits. It's going to tell you that check again if that is correct, okay? So it's going to be able to look at them and then decide if it should be that way. All right. Then we also see other things that it would help us to check. Data entered in a table is invalid. So if you are using that Excel table and there is a data that is not consistent with all other data that you have been entering in that column, it is going to flag it for you and tell you that an error exists here. So it's the first thing you want to do whenever you want to ensure that you are auditing a spreadsheet, especially a spreadsheet that was not developed by you, but developed by somebody else, especially when it is a spreadsheet that involves numbers. then you want to do this check, okay? Now, going back to what we have here, I try to introduce to you some of the things or formulas, some of the keyboard shortcuts that you can use to ensure that your spreadsheets are well audited. Some of us may know this, but we will just learn it over again, because if you are in Excel, you definitely would have seen these things. When you go to your Excel tab here, your Excel sheet, if you click on your formula tab, you are going to find formula auditing here. Much of the tools here are used in formula auditing, you see. So I might be interested in tracing a precedent. A precedent is something that comes before. What are the numbers that make up this number? That's your precedent. So if you click on it, it's going to show you that, oh, this is the number that is interacting with this other number to do this or that. You get it? So that is what it does. You can always remove the arrows by clicking this one. And if you go just any other place, it tends to tell you what are the preceding numbers. So it is saying that these two numbers make up 168 here. Now, one thing you will notice is that in these examples I'm giving, my formulas are very short and they are not very long. That is one of the key things you want to take into consideration to make sure that your spreadsheet is error-free. You see, sometimes I can tell you that you might be using data that is coming from another sheet. You know, you might be using data that is coming from another sheet. If I click precedents here, it's going to tell me that, oh, this data is coming from another sheet. And it can take me to that sheet if I just do some double click and I click on this and say, okay, it takes me to where it is here. Now, but the thing is that when you're doing financial modeling, it's like somebody is trying to come in or so. Michael, you might want to check that. It's coming up on my screen. Okay, so I always advise that you use the shortcut key. For precedence, the shortcut key that you need to use is simply for you to hold your control key down, your control key, that's it here. You hold your control key down and then press this square bracket. This square bracket, you press the opening square bracket. The opening square bracket is for precedence. The closing square bracket is for dependence. So this should actually be this, okay? So you want to note that when you are carrying out audits. So I'm going to show you how that affects our audit here. So what I do is that I hold my control key, the opening square bracket, I hit it, and automatically it brings me here. It is faster in doing checks than when you do use these other ones to do your clicking. Now, how do I go back to exactly the cell where I was coming from? To do that, I need to hit my F5 button. So if I hit my F5 button, it will help me identify the last position or the last cell that I was in. So when it does this, all you need to do is hit your enter button, and then it takes you back to this cell that we were in previously. So you can move back and forth simply with using your keyboard shortcut. Control, open square bracket, hit your F5 to move back, and then hit your enter button, and it takes you back again, you know, to where you are coming from. So that way you'll be able to do the back and forth of each of these. Now, you can also come here and say, I want to find dependents, you see. So if I do my control, you see here, I'm here, and I do my control, close square bracket, it takes me and tells me that this one is related to this. And that is actually true, because if I go to precedence here, you can see that it is showing me that these two of them are related to this cell that is right here. You get it? So, but when you do the control close square bracket, it actually would take you to the dependent. What depends on this? What depends on that? So that's what it actually does. But I want to show you something, that these first two, we just looked at these first two, but we also have these that many people do not use. What exactly does this do? Let me show you what it does. You see, so while we are here, I can easily hold down my control button, hold down my shift button, and then hit my precedence. That is open square bracket. I hit it like this. Notice the difference. Let me do it again. If I do control open square bracket, see, it takes me to just these two. It tells me, sorry, these are the two of them that are related to this cell. You get it? So, but now I'm doing another thing. This time I'm holding down my control button, also holding down my shift before I hit the open square bracket. And then this is what it does. It highlights all of these cells, telling me that all of these cells are related. You know, there are some times where you might feel that, oh, I want to delete this row, or I want to delete this value. What values might be affected if I do it? If you use this control, shift, and then open square bracket, it will tell you all of those that are preceding each other in the chain of formulas. So you can see that they are all highlighted here, and I can easily see that, oh, these are the cells that are being affected. So if I should delete this cell here, chances are that I'm going to cause some referential errors in my spreadsheet. You see, so you can do the same. You can do the same for the closing bracket. So I'm holding my control and then my shift button down, and then the close square bracket. So the close square bracket tells me that, oh, this cell that is highlighted here has got relationship to that. 3 here has got relationship with that. The answer here, the total revenue from Waskin, is coming in from here. Actually, the model you are seeing is not a complete model. It's just a model that is trying to see what it's trying to model the business of a car wash. You know, a car wash, cars come in, what are the times they come in, what are the business they do, they wash the car, they wax the car, they wash the engine, and all of that. So it is not really broad. I just took a part of it and said, okay, let's use it to do this test, okay? So here you can see that each of these can be used to look back or look forward as to what a particular value in a cell is doing. Whichever cell you find yourself, whether you find yourself in another sheet and whatsoever, this would take you to a previous active cell. So you just need to press F5 and then move and press enter. I want you to notice something here. When you see a plus, it means that these buttons have to be pressed the same time together. But when you see an anchor arrow to the right, it's saying you hit F5, then you don't need to hold your F5, you just go and hit your enter button. Or in the dialog box, you can just go and hit your OK, so that it takes you to the previous cells. Okay, so this is just one way in which you can do auditing. Now, another thing you might want to do is to use the F9 button. Let me show you how that works. So if we are here and we are interested in looking at what values are working here. So we know there is a formula that is here. There's a formula that is here. One thing we can do is go to your formula bar and then select the value. And then you can hit your F9. And it's going to show you what that value is in your formula bar. So you can pick any of them, hit your F9 button, and it will show you the values that are interacting there. So that way, you can quickly see, oh, how do all of these come together to give me what I have there as revenues? Now, one thing I want you to have in mind is that whenever you use your F9 button, do not hit your enter immediately, because it's going to make these things to be absolute numbers. It's going to change them, it will hard code them. And that is not what we want in our models. So what you do after such thing is to hit your escape button. You hit your escape button so that your formula remains, and then you can easily carry out your go further to do analysis. Let me show you what I mean. So here I hit my F9 and F9 and F9 here. And if I hit my enter button, see what happens. Can you see the error now? The error has come up here. You see that green stuff come up here. And by the time I look at it, I see that it is like this. You might think that if I do a Control Z, that it would change. I think there has been an improvement on this, because previously you have to copy your formula again and bring it in there and then have it to be what you want it to be. So please, you want to take note of that. If you hit your enter, it's going to make it hard-coded, and that could bring about another error in your checks, okay? All right. So another thing that you can do when you are doing formula auditing in Excel is you can use your F2 button. See, your F2 button can help you in determining what is happening. Let me just use one here. Okay, fine, here. So if you hit your F2 button, it actually brings up all these, it brings up these rectangles with different colors. If I had 4 of them here, there will be 4 different colors there will be 4 different colors that are telling me what exactly to do, okay? So it's going to tell me that, oh, this number and this number are interacting to give us what we have here. So the F2 button is actually primary for auditing formulas, okay? So that's being said, we have the control plus this actually for some persons, they find it difficult to know where it is. It's the tiled symbol. So you will find it under your escape button. Almost often in keyboards, you will find it under the escape button. So what does it do? Now, if you see this entire sheet, if I should hold down my control and then click on that tiled symbol, what it does is that every cell that has formula comes out. Every cell that has got formulas would show here. You see that? So those that are constants would also show. So you can see everything here is more or less formula. That's because we are in the calculation sheet. Now, if you do the same thing again, Control tiled, it brings it back. So it's a toggle that toggles between show formula and don't show formula. Actually, you have it here. You have the symbol here, so you can click it here. It shows formulas and then out, in and out. it shows it. So if I were in drivers, it's going to be a different thing entirely. You get it? So if I do Control Tab, this is what it does. So you see these ones are formula, but these are hard-coded. So somehow with simple eye inspection, you'll be able to determine those that are hard-coded and those that are formulas, okay? Now, one other thing you can also do that I just remembered is like going to this sheet, you see, going to your home tab. If you come to this find and select, click on it, go to special, and then from go to special, you can select that you want it to pick formulas. You see that? You can select that you want it to only go and highlight errors. You can choose whatever you want in it. And then once you hit OK, it's going to select everywhere where you have formulas. In places where it might not be formulas, it would not show them. So you can see it's highlighted all of this. So sometimes some individuals in financial modeling may want to use a fill color for all cells that have formulas. So in this way, you can use this to highlight all of them, and then you can just choose a particular color that you want to use for them, and then you have whatever you want. But I don't know, I don't like using, I don't like formatting my formula cells with colors, and so it's just to show you that also you can use that to identify cells where you have formulas and cells where you don't have formulas. So especially for those of you who might be working with payrolls, your subordinate has brought it to your Excel and then it says this is the payroll and whatsoever. So these formula auditing techniques could help you check to make sure that a value have not been hard-coded, so that irrespective of what change, that value remains the same. So you want to use that to do such checks. All right. So here we want to, we use formulas. We show you how to use formulas to do checks also. There is a function called delta. So what delta does, it checks if two numbers are equal. You see, if they are not equal, it brings 0. If they are not equal, it brings you 1. If they are equal, it brings you 0. Let's just experiment that and see what it is. So you can choose to, okay. So here it is we have, let's assume I want to check for this. So I'm saying that the sum of this, you know, should be equal to this. Just a kind of check. You get it? So here I can see that, oh, it wasn't actually equal to that, but just I think I should be doing this. Okay, better. So I'm asking myself, why is it not equal? Maybe this is, let's see. So this is the sum of this. So you can see what is happening here. You can see that it omitted the ground rentals here, you see. And that is why I found it to be false. But that's just a check. Now, if you want to use the delta, you can use that delta in this way. So I'm going to come and say delta, and then this. This is going to be one number, and I'm going to put a comma, and then this is going to be another number. Two numbers like this. So I hit this. And so 0 tells me that no, that they are not equal. So if I should amend it, if I should amend this formula, you know, bring it to include this one, it will give me 1. 1 entails that it is true. True is 1, then false is 0. You get it? So the delta function can help us to track errors. In fact, in financial modeling, sometimes you are told to have a separate sheet that will be doing checks. You know, you have all these formulas there and always go there to check to see that everything is fine and okay. And then you can say this sheet is ready to go. So that can also help us in doing that. Another function that helps is the formula text. The formula text can also help us in identifying what exactly is happening. So if I hit this one, it's going to return the formula as a string and tell me that, okay, I am summing cells E72 to cell E74. E72 to E74 is what is being summed. All of this can sit in your formula check sheet to help you to detect errors that might come into your spreadsheet, okay? So the formula text helps us to do that. You can also use the exact to test strings, you know? So sometimes you might want to test if the account numbers provided for a payroll is equal to what it should be. So exact can help you to do that. So if they test strings, so if I have a Charles here and I have this other one here, and I have this other one here, get it? And I say I want to use the exact. I want to use the exact to test. Now, they can be in different sheets. They don't need to be in one sheet like this. You get it? They can be in different sheets. And I can use it to do a test. You get it? So if I test I see it's false, I will ask myself, why is it false? And I will be prompted to go to that sheet and then find out why it is false. Okay? So here we are also looking at an add-in. I intended to introduce an add-in that helps you to do checks on your formulas. Now let me show you that add-in. Let me show you that add-in here. The link has already been sent, so I will show you how to go about it. So here is it. If you open to that link, you are going to see this page all down. But if you go down, you are going to see the aspect that says downloads. So what you are going to be downloading is just this one here, this one that says download data XL. You get it? So it says download data XL. If you click on it, it's going to give you, it's going to tell you that, oh, you should either open it or you should save it. What you do is actually to save it. So you can choose to save it anywhere in your drive. Like you can see here, I already have it in here. You get it? I already have it in here in my download file. So you can save it in there. Now, when it gets to your wherever you save it, the next thing is, what do you do about it? So if you go to softwares, you're going to see it there. What you need to do is extract it. So you can see that it is here and it is here also. So you have to extract it. So to extract it, you can right-click and extract it in that same folder, or you can choose another folder where you want it to be extracted to. Okay? So if you extract it, for me, I extracted it and here it is. And then the next thing I have to do after extracting it, all I need to do is go into Excel and then add it as one of my add-ins. Now to do that, this is what I need to do. So I need to come in here, go to Options, click on Add-ins, and then just come here and say Go. Leave it on these add-ins and then go. So when you bring it here, you will not see it as part of this here. I already have it here and it is ticked. So if it weren't here, I'll just need to browse to the place where I have that that file. I had it inside my software, and then I'll just click on it and say OK, or click on it and then click open. Automatically, it will bring it here and it is going to tick it here for you. Once you do that, then you are certain that you already have the add-in in your Excel. So you OK it would appear automatically here. So you have it here and you click on it. And so this is the toolbar. This is everything about what the add-in does. I've gone through the add-in. Sorry, I had to take care of a noise that was distracting. Okay, so what I did, I've gone through most of them. Much of what you see here, you can do it in your Excel. You have tools to do it. So the special thing, for example, you can transpose, you can for worksheets, you can actually break links. There are things that you can do to work with ranges and all of that. Now, you have tools for them, but they just brought all of them here together as if, okay, if you have this tool, you can work with everything here. But you will come to see what these two things do. This precedent checker and dependent checker. They are especially when your spreadsheet is a complex spreadsheet, or it's got so many things that are related to it. I just want to find, let me get you one cell that we can use for this. Okay, let us use this one. If I click on precedents like this, this is what it does. It brings this dialog box for me. You get it? It tells me that this is the origin cell, and that is the cell here, F13. Then it tells me that if I click on this, it takes me to the cell. You see, it takes me to this cell. Click on this, it takes me to this cell. So it helps me to see the formula, and it helps me to locate where each of the inputs are in the cell. Let me show you another one that takes us to another sheet, okay? Let's see this one. I'm coming. Let me go to something that will take us to another sheet. All right, fine. This one will take us to another sheet. So I'm going to click my precedents here. So it's going to take some time to come up, but that might just be because of my machine. So here is it. So it says, it shows me this formula here. It shows me this formula that this is the origin cell. So if I click on this one, it's coming from a different sheet. See, it takes me to that sheet and takes me exactly to the cell that it is working with here. You see, it takes me to that cell and shows me that this is what it is, takes you to this cell, and then takes you to the next cell. And so no matter how complex your formula is, it's going to take you to every part of it so that you see where these numbers are coming to make up the number in the origin. The number in the origin. It's going to tell you where everything is coming. So it's a very good tool that you might want to have, and it is free. You don't need to pay for it, but it can help you in auditing complex spreadsheets that you might inherit from other persons, and you want to understand how the flow goes. So you can also do it for that of dependent. You can also do it for that of dependent. So if I come here and hit on dependent, it's going to show me all those areas that are dependent on this cell. You see, I can be able to move to any cell that is dependent on that and see exactly what it is. So it maps that relationship for us, and then we are able to manage our spreadsheets better. So that's for the add-in that helps us in auditing. Finally, we want to look at some of the things that can help us to limit the errors that we have in Excel. Okay, so here is 8 different things that can help us eliminate errors or avoid errors in Excel. Limit even the efforts that we use in building such Excel spreadsheets. So one of them is that you should organize your workbook by function. So what do we mean by this? We are saying that when you have a model, you know, the primary different sheets that should occur in a model is your raw data or your assumptions, your calculations, and then your results. So imagine I'm doing a three statement financial model. I will have a sheet for my assumptions. I will have another sheet for my calculations. And from calculations, I will link into my 3-statement financial model to build it. I'll build my income statement and my balance sheet from my calculations, and then build my cash flow from the income statement and the balance sheet. That is what we mean by putting it according to functions. For some others, they might go further. The calculation sheet can be split into parts: the revenue model, the cost of sales model, the OPEX model, and whatsoever. If you build it in that format, it is easy for you to manage it rather than have something that is so complex and then you are not able to manage it. Have another person check your work. This is very, very important. I've seen situations where you are the one developing the spreadsheet. You are also the one that they say will make sure there are no errors. Now, that is really wrong. In fact, if you have a boss that feels that every error in his spreadsheet, he should shout on you, he should tell you are wrong and everything, that boss is wrong. Because spreadsheets are a human sign. No matter how good you are, chances that errors might creep in will come in. So you want to ask somebody else to do that check for you. You get it? Somebody else does that check for you, and then that person with a neutral eye may be able to pick things that you haven't been tensed in developing the model could not pick. And let me give you this. It was actually given by my one of my CFOs in the companies I worked with previously. He said that whenever you build a model and you have to send it to your boss, go to the restroom first. Go and ease yourself. Come back and check that spreadsheet for errors. I really don't know where he got that advice from, but I can tell you it works. It works. Because sometimes you may have been sitting for about 2 hours trying to make things happen and everything. Just go and ease yourself, relax yourself a little bit, come back, and you'll be shocked that you'll find at least one thing that you should fix that you would not have been happy if you had sent it to your boss. So the third one is use range names. Not everybody loves range names. You get it? Because sometimes it can be a limitation when you are auditing your spreadsheets. Because you tend to see a whole range of cells being named something. And then, but you are trying to find value of one cell as a relation to another one. In some cases, range names can be used because it will help you avoid errors in other cells that you are building from. On. So you can exploit it to the extent to which it's very important. Okay, I hope I can continue. I found it very, very important to do this in every Excel and referenced it and left it there and say, okay, I am going to use it, I would have been able to say, oh, no, what I would do here is I'm going to, I'm going to just take this one out here and then come to drivers and then pick the two here. I can pick it somewhere here. Anyone for now. Okay, I can pick it here and then it's here. You can see the green thing there telling me that what you did here and what you did there is not the same as what you did here. So I will also get my R. Of course, with this add-in, it's easy. It's easy for us to do that. You see, it's easy for us to do that. But again, you will find that you are exploiting more resources for you to do that. Why not just link to it in such a way that, yes, you can, oh, this, and you come here and you see, okay, this is what is interacting with this. So the shorter your functions and formulas, the better it is for you to eliminate errors in your sheet. Then we also have reasonability checks. You get it? We have reasonability checks. So reasonability checks are those checks I want to find out if total assets is the same as total liabilities and equity all put together. Those are reasonability checks. So there are things that you know that these things should agree. These things should agree. If I put things like my total, my cost of sales now, maybe let's say cost of sales that pertains to inventory and inventory itself, I should be able to check if it's reasonable, if it's making sense. You get it? As per what I have in inventory and what I claim that I sold. If it's not making sense, if the trend is not making sense, then I will go and check again to see what is happening. So we are told to use lots of comments. Comments can help us to understand what something promotes again to understand what actually okay. So also you want
I think his network times out and then comes back.
to use labs. You have done a model previously and your boss says, no, change this, change that in it. Please save it as a version, then save a new version again. So that should errors cross Hello? Am I being heard?
Yeah, hello, yes. Though sometimes you kind of time out, then you come back. I guess it's network.
Oh, really? Yeah. That must have been. Very sorry. So I lastly conclude. Sorry?
Your screen is no longer showing.
Yes. Actually, I had gone through all I wanted to go through in terms of the eight things that would help us to avoid errors. You see, reasonability checks, I touched it. Just like when you say is total assets equal to total liability plus equity, those are reasonability checks. So all those things that you know that if I put them in, I will be able to tell if this model is working. You want to build them into your model. You want to use those functions to do the checks necessary to work with it. Okay? So use line graphs to uncover unusual results. Yes. So if you build line charts, those charts, sometimes when there are errors, the chart will show you that, sorry, this is how your pattern is going. And then you now come and say, no, it shouldn't go like that. What is causing it? So it will prompt you to go and do your check and then find exactly what you should be doing. So we have save versions. I told you that you should always save previous versions. If your boss says, change this, change this, change that, just go save it with another version name. Identify what changes were made in that version so that you'll be able to avoid errors that comes from change. Don't just be working on all the changes in one version. No, always save new versions. You can have up to 60 versions, no problem. But you'll be able to track what changes happened in each of those versions. So this is what I had to offer when it comes to formula auditing with Microsoft Excel. I don't know, maybe we have some with questions. I want to take those questions now.
Thanks a lot. Any questions from our participants? Okay, yeah. Edu, your hand is up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, good afternoon.
Charles, for your time. It was really, the whole auditing thing was beyond my level for when I learned a lot.
Well, thank you very much, Edu.
Part of the minimizing errors. Do you recommend that for people who are they are tech oriented, use what they call version control methods, or those subversion, GitHub, or something like that, to actually document these errors, so that we don't have 40, 50, 60 changes already, so that you have all those things documented, your change logs documented, things you need to do, so that all those things are you can easily pass it on to another person, maybe when there is a change of position or something. Do you recommend the use of all those things?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I would recommend, I've not used, I hear of GitHub a lot, but I've not used it. My only concern is that if we have made changes about 10 times along, and tomorrow we are told that revert to version 6, if that is possible, then I recommend such technologies for managing versions. You get it? But if it's not possible, if it's going to take some time, I would suggest that you should save versions of these models in your machine, because in my experience, we've had that a lot. You see, I think everybody knows, whether there's a banker here, whether there's an entrepreneur, an investor here, there are times where you build a model. There's the banker's model, there's the investor model, there's the management model. You see, that happens sometimes. You get it? For that reason, if you are not able to use GitHub, or if your users are not technologically oriented to use GitHub, you can use this as an advantage. I'm not against any technology that helps you to do the right thing. So thank you, Adu, for that. I will explore it.
Yeah.
One other thing that I found, so for GitHub, actually, it doesn't work with Excel. So okay. GitHub works more with the things that you can convert fully to text files, not binary files. You know, Word document, Excel document, if you try to open them in text, in a text pad, it will just be showing all this gibberish. So it's at the bottom, it's more of a binary file. Then with the 2007 version, we try to separate the XML, which deals with the structure a bit, from the content, which is still a binary file. So GitHub doesn't. The best I've seen people do is they say with the VBA part, you can install an add-in that helps you to, VBA are majorly just codes that are text. So that one helps with the VBA part, but I don't think anyone yet for the full exam, for the real version control experience.
Maybe, Michael, you and me should sit down and develop one for Excel, just as there are GitHubs for versioning.
Yes, I don't have the expertise. I don't know much about programming to that
level. Yeah. All right.
Any questions or Mr. Edu, what do you think? Are you satisfied with the answer, or there are some things you still want to say?
I'm very happy with the answer, Michael. I just feel that it's very difficult using GitHub, but at least those change logs, as when we do those change logs, you have all those things documented, instead of when maybe PCs are stolen, people lose record or something. So we're able to get all those things from a centralized database offline before we have issues. So that's been my experience.
Okay.
Hello.
Thanks. Okay, Mr. Akim, are you trying to say something? I see it looks like your mic is coming up as if you want to say something, then it goes off again. Any other questions?
Yeah, let me just point out something with regards to what Adu said. There are these portals that we use for due diligence, and these portals, some of them, in fact, most of them has got that version control thing, you see. So if you are in an organization that has that, you can upload the file and then it would automatically give it a version number. So the many times you come in, make changes, upload it, it's going to just be storing it for you. You don't need to do anything. And so you can go back to see what those versions are. Another thing that you can do is that in-house, you could have a spreadsheet that's just for storing in spreadsheets and versions, so that with every version, you can quickly identify what things were changed, and then you could share it among the team so that they can always pick the models and know what exactly has happened, and then know how to go forward with that.
Any other questions from audience in the house before we wrap up today's session? Okay, so I have a question, Mr. Charles. Maybe that will be my own question.
I hope it's simple.
So my question is, what do you think about using the Excel online, for financial modeling?
Okay.
Sorry, I'll have to meet someone. He doesn't know he's not.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question. Now let me tell you something. I've used the online model about two times, but not for financial modeling. You get it, and I understand how it works, how you store it online, how others can be able to see, those that you have granted opportunity to see it, and so on like that. But I'm always this, I don't know why, sometimes this business thing comes into my head. I feel that if I have to do that, I have to pay for data in order to build my models online. That's one and the major concern. And then, depending on my speed could punish me the more, such that I will use more data to accomplish things online. So that is why most of the time I just take my machine and build my models offline. However, when it comes to sharing it, I can still share it, in the clouds, and anybody can open it with the online version, and then they can look through it. So such suggestions as let somebody else test your model, see your model, this can be done online.
Okay. And so I think I don't have any other question.
Okay.
Maybe we'll just wrap up the session here. So just some quick things to mention to people in the house. I have posted the details of our special guest today, and more importantly, let me just repost it. So you will see a link where you can access his profile, you can be able to connect with him, you can be able to also reach out to him for things that are within his area of services. And at this juncture, we want to say thank you to everybody who has been part of today's session. And I noticed that some of you might not have noted that while the session was going on, I've been posting some of the resources he has made available, like the link of the Oracle blog that showed the different errors that had commercial implications. I posted it. Let me just post it again. Then there's another one he mentioned about free adding that can help other things. So I've posted it, but I'm reposting them also. Those who maybe missed those things, you'll be able to access them now. And thank you once again.
Thank you very much, everybody.
To close, and it's always a pleasure having you here, Mr. Charles. You've blessed us. I think maybe this is the third time you've blessed us from your wealth of experience.
More will come in the future.
Yes, that's what I hope for. And so thank you once again. Thanks to everybody, and see you next week. Have a nice rest of the Sunday. Bye.
Bye-bye.